Good morning. You caught me getting ready to practice my guitar. But here we go. Starting with the tuning fork. As you know, this simple process. I'm going to stop walking you. Good morning. Good morning. I really appreciate the emails. I really appreciate the emails from everybody. Let's see. Let's see how we stood up overnight. Let's see what this does here. Yeah, pretty good. Not too bad. Not too bad. Let's back this sucker up a little bit. And we'll see what's, well, let's bring it. Let's get nice and close today. That's probably pretty good. Yeah, I would say that's pretty good. Yeah, sure, close enough. So I hope you had a good day yesterday. I'm going to start with some breath today. If you're stopping in this morning, if you're just tuning in, I wanted to welcome you to the morning ritual for guitar growth. I'm Jason, your host, and it's probably the only live chat on YouTube that isn't really about views. Pretty interesting concept. So as we walk through this process of tuning, I like to think of tuning as walking along a stream bed or a river bed. And as we walk through the riverbed with a 4-weight rod in hand, well, that sounds kind of a little sketchy, but it's a fly rod. I'm looking for pockets that hold fish. You know, I'm trying to read the surface of the water for a pocket of water that would hold a fish. And what does that have to do with tuning? Well, I remember when I first started fly fishing and I first started playing the guitar, 2 separate periods in my life, right? I started fly fishing much later in my life. And learning how to read the water's surface, or being in tune or in touch with that readout, if you will, because the river or the stream gives you a readout, and how to recognize those good holding patterns. It's great, and it's essential for survival, I think, being in tune with those things that you can use to feed your face, feed yourself, as Pete said, feed your face. So I think pretty close. I don't want to get too far away from this, talking about the stream bed this morning. And I'm working on tightening my capo a little bit. I'll show you what I'm doing here. Because my capo, if it's too loose, it will wobble around and create problems, right? But if it's too tight, it will pull the strings under tension and bring the guitar out of tune. So it's a delicate balance. Again, it's not a real complicated one, but it's a balance nonetheless. And today, I don't know about you, but do you have mornings that feel especially quiet and especially accessible for the guitar? So today, I wanted to welcome you to the morning ritual for guitar growth, which is exactly what it is. The title just pretty much sums it all up, and we'll talk about that over the next hour. I'm here for an hour until 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time, and if you're without your guitar this morning, you could always use your thumb as your guitar fretboard and just kind of work along with us if you'd like. So without further ado, I'll keep rambling on, pointlessly almost, but not pointlessly. I'm going to introduce something new later today, something that I don't typically do here. If you find when we get to it, if you find that you would like to have the sheet, sort of the cheat sheet for it, so you can do this along with me in the morning, it's a great exercise. I've been doing this one for years, I've been doing this one for a while, and it's a great exercise for warm-up, for tonal warm-ups, because what we're doing right now at the moment is not tonal warm-up. We're doing not total, tonal. So tonal warm-up, this is sort of not really related to tonicism. It's not related to, a center, a tonal center. This kind of chromatic style warm-up is what I like to do to get my feet wet in the morning, my ears open. And as you can tell, I've already started. I'm off and running. I guess we're off and running with no count off today. What a different environment. What a different thing to do. But I'm approaching fret number 1 with fingers 3 and 1, or 3 and 4. And you can join us if you like, me and my guitar. So let's take a look at fingers 3 and 4. We're walking through just a quick but assertive and purposeful run through the second, the third, and fourth finger stretch this morning. Just a light stretch, light duty today. Because it's Friday, we've earned it. We're going to push a little bit later, so just enjoy this warm-up period here. So 1 E and a 2, T, E, and a go. Fingers 2 and 3s, 10 and 12. And we'll continue all the way down to the beginning of the fretboard, or the runoff, So if you're at the runoff, usually where the runoff is, it's where all of the riffles sort of stop, and then you've got a little runoff, but usually that's where all of the debris and larvae and all of the stuff that's been lifted from the stream bed comes blasting down the stream, and then that's where the little trout might hang out. So you can drop a larvae pattern down there, and then a bugger sometimes, get the greedy ones down at the end of the run. But I'll tell you what, just being able to read the fretboard, let's turn it into a read the fretboard kind of event. So let's read the fretboard. Now I'm reading the fretboard. I'm reading the scale length of the fretboard, because the scale length changes from frets number 1 through 3 every time we ascend a step, half step, or a fret. Of course, the scale length of the guitar doesn't change, but the length between each fret marker does. It diminishes in return. So fingers 1 and 2 on 10 and 12. I start way up here on position number 10. this one because I like to work up to the stretch. Or I like to work down to the stretch, I guess I should say down to the stretch. But it is, excuse me while I see we play. And, you know, I'm glad you're here with me this morning. I'm thankful that you're here with me this morning. And yes, I'm talking to you and not my guitar. I'm glad there's a torch bearer on the other side of this camera. You know, keeping the flame of the guitar, the fire of the guitar, and the guitar practitioner alive. Yeah, and you haven't yet become some kind of a AI avatar, you know. All right, here we go. Fingers 2 and 4. 1 E and a 2 and a T E and a 4. So we're back at the stream, taking an additional walk. And then I look over across the way. Oh, and there's a cinnamon bear. Huh. And try not to disturb it. Those are the things, things that symbolically would break my connection for a moment with, you know, my understanding. And my understanding would typically be the switch would flip into, you know, fight or flight mode. And I would equate that with the guitar as losing the connection with the metronome. For some reason, there's a bear somewhere. And I know I did a short. I have this podcast here on YouTube. It's in its infancy. And fingers 1 and 3, we're using 2 fingers, but this time we're using non-contiguous 2 fingers and 9 and 12. Here we go. And I did talk about what if, you know, how to use your guitar as a shield in case of an encounter with a bear. And it's you know, it is kind of a, you know, nonsensical concept, but I mean, it's probably happened. You never know. But that podcast, I forget what it's called. But you might get a kick out of it. Maybe you've seen some of the videos. They're just short, you know, short little clips that just want to work on getting that lead out. You know what I mean? Just it's another outlet. And just the random thoughts of an aspiring guitar practitioner is what I could have named it, I guess. But I think there are 4 or 5 episodes or something like that. You might get a kick out of it. You can check it out. So if you do want so what's coming up? I do have a plan to work through some diatonic harmony today, cycle 4 work. If you're sticking around and you find that you would like to have a copy of that, you could email me at growth@jasoncareyguitar.com, or you could visit my website at jasoncareyguitar.com, and you could communicate with us right there through the forum. Sign up for the newsletter, which is getting ready to roll, and you know, it's not a real spammy thing. Those of you who have had any interactions with me, you know that it's not about the spamminess. So if I wouldn't want a communication, I figured others wouldn't want it either. So you know, just high value stuff. But you're more than welcome. I'll give you the draft of the exercise that I'm going to work on in a little bit here. Just after we forge our paths through, after we wade through the waters of the chromatic-style warm-up, we're going to transition to Diatonic-style warm-up. And up to now, we've predominantly featured chromatic-style warming up. And, you know, it gives us access to all of these finger patterns that wouldn't necessarily exist in nature for us, you know, in our natural tendencies to play melodies and chords and such. So these are great workouts, and I'm going to continue these as long as I can. You can hear the metronome doing all of the heavy lifting in the background, and I really don't want to lose connection with the metronome. And also I'm finding that little breath that you heard me just take identifies a little bit of tension in my leg, my lower leg. So you know, I need to put more responsibility in my bum, in my seat, and then straight back, strong back, weak mind, you know. All the fixings to be a world-class guitar player. Just simple down, up with the pick hand. And you know exactly what's going on. This ain't no thing. Ain't no thing. Yeah, just simple stuff. I hope you're doing well. I hope you were, you know, legitimately working on enjoying every moment of this wonderful life. So, trials and tribulations and everything. 10, 11, and 12, here we go. 1 E and 2. Setting my intention now. So you could go ahead and do that if you like. It could be for yourself, for your guitar, for this morning's ritual. You know, the sacred space that you are building for yourself. Typically, it's a good idea to, when warming up, it doesn't matter if the place is well, if the practice area is well lighted or not. It does not matter for me for warm-up. For the purposes of warm-ups, the warm-up is, unless I'm absorbing new material, then I need to do this during practice though, not warm-up. If I'm absorbing new material, that's the job of a practice session. This job that we hold near and dear to our hearts as guitar practitioners, warming up in the morning, the job requires that we remain focused on the metronome, on our breath, through our breath, relieving pressures and tense muscle tissues in our systems, good posture. None of that really, and we're not really working on absorbing material from a screen or from a printed page. Imagine that, a printed page. We're not absorbing any of that material. So we don't need a well-lighted space for practice like this. So this could be a very dimly lit, a candle lighted, you know, I have an incense stick rolling. You know, I like to burn the old nag champa, just like a hippie would. You know what I mean? Yeah, burn it down just like a hippie, right? But it is, I say that, it's all in good jest. But I say that like it's, I think it's break time. But I like to keep the morning ritual, the morning warm-up period as a sacred place, right? It's a sacred spot for you. And you know, you could try a nice candlestick, 2 or 3 candlesticks. You could think about symmetry in your situation while we work on breathing. And that really dim light will seem to support less visual stimulation. Even with the eyes closed, a lot of that ambient light can kind of pass through those lids. So a darker room, a dimly lighted room is great. So maybe we'll try a candlelight warm-up coming up here, okay? Not today though. And what are we doing for time? I just want to be sure I'm stretching at 15-minute intervals. Oh, 20 minutes in here. So I'll go ahead and stretch right now, and we'll see what happens here. Just remember my shoulders need to roll up and back. Good. Good breath in. Good breath out. And then 16 clicks here, here, 16 clicks here, 16 clicks there. And we'll start on this side today, just to keep it balanced, keep it fair, keep it equal, keep it balanced, keep it in the pocket. Eight ball finishes the game sunk. So we've got this really nice stretch happening. I hope you're breathing along with it. And then down, and you know, I really enjoy being smiley, and I really enjoy being like, you know, inviting with my personality and my persona. But I think those of you who are going to end up sticking around can probably pass right through that, can probably see right through that. So I want to keep these morning ritual warm-ups as close to honest to myself as I can, right? And that's why I share, you know, all of the ups and downs with you of guitar practicing. Some days, like today is a really great, quiet day. Maybe it's the barometric pressure or whatever. But some days I feel like I can hear better. Some days it feels like the guitar just sounds better. Today is one of those days for me. And our final approach, a 16-beat approach, is good for the forearm. And we'll go ahead and do just release this work. So what we've been doing, see I've got some black fly bites here. I've got a black fly bite on my elbow, my inner elbow here. And I can see the contour marks of the guitar here. There's a lot of stuff that the body doesn't just anticipate while becoming a guitar player. Do you know what I mean? We don't anticipate that if we hold the pick so much, you know, it's going to like misshape the first finger, you know, the way we hold the pick, you know. We don't anticipate that when we begin. You know, if you play enough for years, and if you hold your pick, especially if you hold your pick tightly, it can, you know, deform your first finger a little bit. You know, so these are all of the things that we have to look forward to. So it's really important to take care of the body. These little pieces add up to success. And you're not in a race with anyone, you're just in a race with not being in a race. And, you know, I certainly appreciate, if you are here, I definitely appreciate you dropping a line, smashing that like button. Certainly appreciate that. But, you know, you don't have to. You're probably busy playing your guitar. Let's do it. So I think we're at, the fingers feel brand new. I think we're at fingers 1, 2, 3, and 4 on 9, 10, 11, and 12. Let's give it a shot. If you'd like to, I'm going to ascend with quintuplets or 5 attacks per beat. If you'd like to, you can come back. If it's too fast for you this morning, just play along at your own tempo and see what it sounds like us playing in 2 separate subdivisions. And it's cool, you know. growing up in practice rooms where you have trumpeters and pianists and drummers and bass players and saxophonists all around you, and the sound rooms not being the practice rooms not being all that soundproof, you get used to just playing around with the noise everywhere. So that's partially probably why I like to talk while I play, especially if I'm on camera. I think it's essential to share the mind of the guitar practitioner with other aspiring, the aspiring guitar practitioner with other aspiring guitar practitioners. And so, I do look forward to hearing from you, and I have received a lot of wonderful emails lately, so thank you very much for your support and your kindness. You can email me if you have good or bad constructive criticism. Rather not, deal too much with constructive criticism, because that's really not what this is about. This is about if you have questions about what it is I'm doing, why I'm doing it, who I'm doing it for, when I do this. I do this every weekday morning at 7:30. We're doing the stretch here. 9, 10, 11, and 13. 1 E and a 2. You know what to do. Yeah, so we have this really nice opportunity here. So we'll seize the day. But you can, if you do have questions, you can email me. You can email me anytime you like. Jason@jasoncareyguitar.com or growth@jasoncareyguitar.com. You could even visit me at jasoncareyguitar.com on our website, where you can, if you haven't yet downloaded this PDF binder. It's a binder, it's a 5x5 for guitar growth, right? The 5x5 for guitar growth, it's a discipline that I found myself working toward this, and simplification of the guitar. See, I want to learn, I want to have progress, but I don't want the overwhelm. And that's almost 100% of the return that I get from the if you wanted to take the survey, I don't want to influence your survey responses, but that's a pretty common response. So you can find that survey at jasoncareyguitar.com. And now we're getting out the kickstand here. We're just turning it around. Instead of stretching finger 1, we'll stretch finger 4. Finger 4, we'll stretch finger 1. So 8, 10, 11, and 12. Let's go. 1 and 2. A 1C and a 2C, and I put in all my shoesies. It feels like there's a really great connection with the fret. The fret hand, or the picking hand, and the string set this morning. For some reason, it feels like a really great positive contact. And just checking my abdominal, making sure my belly button is reaching for my spine, and my person, my body erect, and I've got this really, for some reason, I'm really aware of posture at the moment. I know how damaging it can be for some of us, because the last thing we want to do is exacerbate a lower back problem. Or create one, right? So stick around, I've got a really nice little diatonic style warm-up coming. I guess I mentioned I was going to do some quintuplets, but I guess I didn't. not doing them, did I? I can see for miles and miles and miles. All right, good. Oh, let's do this. Pardon me. I'll just chew this mint down. Minor pentatonic shape. And we've got one of my favorite chords, you know, second favorite chord. Great chord. But A minor pentatonic. If you haven't seen it yet, it's available. It's live on the channel. There's 3 hacks to kind of like sound, to get more out of your approach to soloing like Santana, right? So that involves some parallel planing, which you can go investigate further. It's the freshest full-length video on the channel, so you can find that if you haven't already seen it. You're more than welcome to check it out. It's free for public view. All right, so we'll go ahead and just move beyond that. I want to do the 1, 2, 3, 4 workout before we get into the diatonic system, because I really like playing one note per string, and this really it gives my picking hand a chore. It gives my picking hand some additional guidance for completing its mission, you know, which is to be accurate and consistent. There's nothing like playing a sweep picking exercise with alternate picking. There's nothing quite like it that just gives us access to speed down the road and accuracy. This is the stuff that we want to do. We want to be able to do this on the guitar easily, handily, but remaining focused on the guitar's tone, its sound pressure level in the room, its dynamic range. Those are really great spots to park the mind while we observe our way through those potentially challenging exercises. So I think, I'm not sure, I may stretch one more time before we just get into this, just do a little more passive. I think I've got, you know, roughly another 15 minutes in me, so I do like to take a break and get up and move around. It's important to move around, but I don't do that for my morning warm-up. I like to get a full morning warm-up in. Here's a challenge. If you can play If you can play 1, 2, 3, 4 in one hand and 5 in the other hand in the same span of time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's worth challenging yourself. If you want to figure out how to do that, you could always email me, communicate with me. Communication's great. If you want a chart of how to do that, happy to supply you with that. that polyrhythmic nature is what helps us to become, great polyrhythm and counterpoint, are two of the secrets to songwriting success, right? So does that exist somewhere in your song, supporting the melody or supporting the harmony or bass line, countering the melody? There are a myriad applications for counterpoint and rhythmic counterpoint, melodic counterpoint, dynamic counterpoint in musical expression. So studying polyrhythm is a pretty important piece of the puzzle. Some of us don't, we don't really need it. As long as we can count 1, 2, 3, 4. When I count 1, 2, 3, 4, all these different subdivisions are just kind of rattling around in my head. And you sometimes can tell by the way I'm moving, what is going through that little noggin, the brain bucket. All right. So I think this is the beginning of the diatonic approach. Just going to have some fun with it. It's starting. Let me walk you through what's actually, going to happen. It's I'm going through C, F, B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, G flat, B, E, A, D, G, and then back to C, the place from whence I came, right? That's where we started. As you know, I don't let too much discovery-based interest enter the warm-up pattern, so I'll just kind of breathe that one in and breathe it away and get right back on track. I just wanted to share with you the number of keys that I go through. 1, 2, so D flat, E flat, 2, A flat, 3, D flat, 4, A flat, sorry, D flat, D flat, G flat, B, E, A, D, G, and then C. It's all like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 different keys before we arrive. We're always in a constant state of arriving. Unless you're playing, sus2 chords or sus4 chords, then we're just, sort of like floating there. Whoa. No need to move anywhere. Just enjoy the stasis. That's not really what we're doing today. We're doing we're just working on C major scale. Again, this is a lot of information to take in. If it's not something you're familiar with, it will be easier if you request the sheet for the song or download the sheet. Maybe I'll just post a link in the near future. You can download it at your leisure. But this is what it looks like, and this is what I use to start time sizing my ears. So I'm playing the major 7, we're using just major scales. I'm playing the major 7 voicing, or the root or tonic chord for each pattern, then playing the pattern. Starting and stopping on the root note everywhere I go along the way. And then at the end, tie all of that together with a nice, big, fat, luscious major 7 quality. Or the diatonic 1, right? Or the tonic. Ready? Next key. B flat. E flat. And then A flat. D flat. And then we have G flat. See how you can learn how to get to the root note and then get away from the root note and hold your powder, so to speak, so that we don't need to feel like we're getting right back to the scale or to the note, to the root note. So here we go. I like to patternize those. Back at the place from whence we came again, the original pattern. Usually what I like to do is start a different pattern. Just working fours now, so so that's really a big part of the warm-up process for me. So I don't know if you'd like to learn more about how to do that. You can always email me at jason@jasoncareyguitar.com. It's a great thing. There are only really just a small handful of useful major scale positions for jazz for the likes of Jim Hall, Joe Pass. You know, Joe Pass is reincarnate, you know, like Mimi Fox, like you know, those are great little scales to have. And then of course you'd want to learn the one, the 2, 5, 1 progression with the dominant, or well, the minor 7 flat 5 or the dominant 9. So there are 4 arpeggios to learn in each stage too. So, you know, one chord shape, one chord scale would look like this to me. You know, draft out the major scale, or the major the major 7, and then the minor 7, or the 2 minor 7 in this case, and then the 5 dominant 7, or G7 in this case, and then the B minor 7 flat 5 in this case. And then I have the 2 5 1. Borrow from other keys, but so I'd play, you know, the 2 and then the 5. It's not really about fast, it's about just outlining the changes. Yeah, so that's pretty much where I'm going to end up for today. I think that's about it. Unless you have any other questions, you know, do you have any other questions? If you do have questions for me, you can always email me. Please email me at growth@jasoncareyguitar.com. You could go visit the website right now while it's fresh in your mind. If you do want to discover some more of these pieces that we're going to continue to import into our morning ritual sessions for the purposes of warm-up, and I wanted to delineate the difference between warm-up. Once again, I wanted to review for my own brain the difference between a warm-up and a practice, in my mind, at least for me, at least for my own person. The difference is when I warm up, I limit the use, the employment of discovery-based methodology, right? So it's not the difference between me wandering off and thinking about going to the store and buying bread or playing my favorite song versus am I disciplined enough to keep this breathing thing, this posture thing, and this, I'm going to stretch for the last bit while I talk here. Do I have the discipline to keep my game moving forward? If yes, then I succeed in my warm-up. Then I can move on to, you know, practice, which includes repertoire improvement. Practice includes a number of different things for me. It means a number of different things to a number of different people. But practice would be a great time to go exploring, to take those things we learned in the schoolhouse, those tools that we're acquiring through this morning ritual for guitar growth. If you're still here, if you're new here, I'm Jason, and I welcome you to come back. I'm here every weekday morning at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Time for the entire year of 2025, good Lord willing. And this is the warm-up period I'm making reference to. So I'm working on getting really good, as good as I can be at warming up on my guitar. And after, we go through the entire year, I'm going to be able to look back at the first video I recorded for this series and review the last video that I recorded for this series and lay those two on the record in the archives of the Jason Carey guitar here on YouTube and study the differences between the first video and the last video and just observe everything that changed, where I grew, where I didn't grow, where I could, there's a rubric that I'll walk you through all of it after it comes to pass. But I wanted to thank you for being here, for being a practitioner of the guitar, carrying the torch, carrying that fire that needs to happen. That fire needs to burn. It needs to burn in there somewhere. And someone needs to carry it. And it's it can be a sacred mission, right? So hope I'm not scaring you too much, but I guess that's about it for today. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope it's filled with joy and observance of the works of God's creation. There we go. So happy day, and until we meet again, I'll see you tomorrow at 7:30 a.m.